Welcome to Classic Value Investors. My name is Mariusz Konieczny. This is part 2 of Oroco Resources series. This is about the legals. I was originally going to make a very detailed video about the legals, but very soon I realized that my head was just spinning. This situation is just so complicated to explain that I decided to make a shorter legal video, and in the description of this video I'm including a link to a 20-something page legal analysis that I wrote during the time that it was very important. Now, at this point, it's not really important for you to understand how the legals went because the legals are 100% finished, but I think that it would benefit you to get an idea of what the company went through to actually get involved in this asset. At first, people couldn't even fathom how a small company like Oroco could get its hands on such a huge copper porphyry deposit named Santa Tomas. And the answer is simple. In 2002, Santa Tomas property was owned by a Mexican gentleman who sold the property to a crook, and the crook didn't pay for the property but didn't want to return it back either. Because there were 3 different jurisdictions, Mexico, Bahamas, and the United States, the gentleman didn't have the expertise and money to get the property back. Oroco's management got involved and said that they would solve the legal problem, get the property back, and in return they would earn a huge interest in the property. Only later Oroco as a company got involved. You might think that when I got involved, which was August 2017, I was making a binary bet on the resolution of the legals. And I'm here to tell you that Oroco at that time that I got involved was the best investment opportunity I have ever seen in my life, because it had a 100 bagger potential with very, very little risk. And this video is explaining to you how and why I think that. In part number 1, you learned how I landed on this website because I started researching for Xochipala Gold after learning that the Oroco CEO started buying a lot of shares. This paragraph is very important, but you might not understand it at this point, so I will explain it to you. On June 30th, 2016, that's more than a year before I got involved, Compañía Minera Ruero, represented by Rodriguez following the Bahamas court decision without knowledge of the Mexican judgment, sold the Santa Tomas property to Xochipala Gold. This agreement has been filed with the Mexican Public Registry of Mining for registration. So here's what this means. Remember this Compañía Minera Ruero. In 2002, before the whole fiasco started, this is how Santa Tomas was owned. It was owned 100% by CMR. And CMR is a Mexican entity, and according to Mexican law, Mexican concessions such as Santa Tomas have to be owned by Mexican entities. And this Mexican entity was owned by Ruero International, which was a Bahamian entity, and later it was, and then Mr. Rodriguez owned this 100%. But this part, for this purposes, is not that important. What's important is that Santa Tomas was owned by CMR. And according to this, on June 30th, 2016, CMR sold Santa Tomas copper to Xochipala Gold. Xochipala Gold being owned by Oroco. So in other words, on June 30th, 2016, Santa Thomas was already owned by Oroco. So when I bought my shares in Oroco, Santa Thomas was already owned by Oroco. Okay? So the only uncertainty at that time was the only problem at that time was that even though Santa Thomas was sold by CMR to Satchipala Gold, Satchipala Gold was not being recognized by the mining registry as the owner of Santa Thomas. In other words, the Mexican mining registry thought that CMR was still the owner of Santa Thomas, not Satchipala Gold. So the entire legal uncertainty was about making sure that the Mexican mining registry was going to recognize Satchipala Gold as the registered owner of Santa Thomas. When I wrote the legal analysis that is linked in the description, at that time Oroco was in the process of getting the Mexican registry to recognize Satchipala Gold as the rightful owner of Santa Thomas. This analysis was sent to interested parties in Oroco, showing them that I had 100% certainty that the Mexican registry was going to recognize Satchipala Gold as the rightful owner of Santa Thomas property. So I suggest you read that analysis, and it will make it clear. It will show you how it will show you the history of the legals and how Oroco was going to be successful in accomplishing this task. On January 9th, 2020, I was proven right because the Mexican registry recognized Satchipala Gold as the rightful owner of Santa Thomas. Now that you learned how I became involved with Oroco, how I learned the legals, and how Satchipala Gold became the rightful owner of Santa Thomas, in the next video I will be talking about the property itself and what's coming in the future.